Hey, my friend. Welcome back to The Cosmic Mystic, where we blend strategy and soul work to help healers, coaches, and conscious leaders build their soul aligned businesses that support their soul's mission. I am Danny Simonis, the creator of the Inner Alchemy Method, a 5-stage journey to soul led sovereignty where deep healing meets embodied leadership. I'm so blessed and honored to guide high achieving introverted spiritual women to reclaim their power, embody their truth, and lead from within. In this video, we are going to explore this week's Sidereal Astrology from from July 14th through the 20th, my friend. Each one of these videos is here to guide you in navigating the inner world and how that reflects in our outer world. And our outer world influences such as astrology and how that can affect our inner world. So, my friend, we are going to dive in because we've got our Saturn going retrograde this week. We've got Mercury going retrograde this week. Our sun is moving into Cancer. We've got lots to talk about. So, if you are new here, be sure to hit subscribe if you are into sidereal astrology, becoming the best version of yourself, healing, self mastery, and entrepreneurship. That is what I am all about, my friend. And I can't wait to share this week's astrology with you. Couple of things to keep in mind. I always do this at the very beginning. We are talking about sidereal astrology, which is slightly different than our tropical friends. So we're going to be talking about our sun moving into Cancer this week. We're also going to be, this also is on a podcast. So if you're on the podcast, there's a YouTube channel. If you're on the YouTube channel, there is a podcast, both the same name, The Cosmic Mystic. You'll find links to both of those down in the description and show notes. I say that because some people don't know, and there is different content on the podcast than there is on the, YouTube channel. So we've got tons of videos over here on the YouTube channel. We have our weekly Rise and Align series where there's a little bit of a teach along with a somatic breath work. That teach is on the podcast now, along with other episodes, interviews with other amazing souls about their journey into spirituality. We talk about all kinds of different topics over there. So be sure to check out both channels and see what is available for you, what fits for you. All right, let's do my favorite thing to kick off these videos, which is to start with our state of the planets. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for those of you on the YouTube channel. You can see where we are kicking off. I love to share where everybody's hanging out this week as we begin. So to kick off, we've got our sun here kicking off this week at 28 degrees Gemini. The sun is about to move out of Gemini and into Cancer this week. So it's right there though, still in Cancer. I'm sorry, still in Gemini as we kick off this week. Jupiter in Gemini, Venus in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus, Chiron over here in Aries. We've got Neptune and Saturn. They both are now retrograde as we kick off this week here in Pisces. Our North Node in Aquarius. Our moon kicks off in Aquarius this week as we come off of that full moon energy we had last week with Sagittarius. We've got Pluto down here in Capricorn, our South Node in Leo, and our Mars over here in Leo. We've also got Mercury over here in Cancer. All right, so let's dive in. We're going to kick off with the sun. And the first thing I want to talk about, because these all kind of follow after this sun moves into Cancer. So again, I did talk about this in the July overview. So if you want to hear everything that's going on this July, I talk in detail about the sun in Cancer. There's also a podcast episode coming out this week that's all about Cancer energy and how to work with Cancer energy on your healing journey. And so You can check out those, both of those, as additional resources for you. But the July overview, I always do an overview of the entire month at the very beginning of the month. And then each week we break that specific week's astrology down. So if you're looking for this specific week, this is where this would fall into play for you. If you're looking for the bigger overview of kind of what's happening as a whole, then be sure to check out that video. It's a long one. It's about, I think it's over an hour. I think it's one of the longest forecasts I've done, but there was just so much to talk about. All right, so let's dive into Cancer. Let me tell you a little bit about this Cancer energy with the sun, because this is also going to come into play when we talk about Mercury retrograde in Cancer. So the sun is moving into Cancer on the 16th and will be there through August 16th, okay? When the sun moves into Cancer, we move out of that social, very mental energy with Gemini, and we move into a more emotional place. So there's more nostalgia here. There's more things that are centered around the home, around family, around our own inner security. And, the moon is rules over the zodiac sign of Cancer. So it's planet. Cancer is its planet. Planet is the moon. Moon is Cancer. My moon happens to be in Cancer. So this energy feels really beautiful to me. I love this energy. I'm very connected to this energy. I am very nostalgic, and I do love home and family. That is probably one of my top things. But this energy does encourage more introspection, and really allowing us to get connected to our emotional body, the emotional aspect of us, that emotional energy that we have in not only our natural way, but also what is present for us, what we might be moving through, depending on what is happening in our outer world, right? And how that might be affecting us more in our inner world. There's also this protective, excuse me, protective energy or protective instincts that tend to come out with Cancer. Cancer zodiac sign, its symbol is the crab. And the crab is a very protective energy. And so, one of the really interesting things about the crab, if you've ever noticed, first off, it moves sideways. It moves sideways. It does not go front and back. It moves sideways. So it doesn't like to hit things head on. It doesn't like to confront things head on. It likes to go around things. It likes kind of like wants to beat around the bush, so to speak. And so we might see some of that coming up both with the sun and with Mercury. And so this really is a powerful time for us to honor our feelings, for us to connect to our inner world, to nurture ourselves and our loved ones. There's a lot of focus here on nurturing others during this time and being more intentional and gentle with that energy. Now, some things for you to consider, maybe healing opportunities for you, definitely is to allow your emotions to process. So this is one of the reasons why, journaling is often something I love to do and I recommend to people. The somatic breath work is also another beautiful practice, but things like dream work, intuitive rituals, intuitive practices that you might do are there to help process what might be coming up. And especially during challenging times, especially when we have things that are out of our control in the collective energy, it's even more important for us to take time to protect ourselves and to protect that inner space, right? And to allow whatever emotional energy is coming through to move through us, right? To not get stuck. Cancer is a water sign. And if we look at water, water is flowing, water is movement, water is life, right? And so we want that energy to move through us. We don't want it to get stuck or trapped, right? Because that's where dis-ease happens in the body. That's where we go ballistic on people we probably don't want to go ballistic on, right? That's when we lose our shit. Like, let's just be straight up. That's when we lose our shit because we have things that we have not dealt with. And we think, trust me, I'm going to raise my hand on here. We think that we've dealt with it, right? Or we think that it's not bothering us. But my friend, it just simmers and simmers and simmers. And when you least expect it, bam, it comes out and you're like, what the happened? Like, what just happened? That is why the sun moving through Cancer is such a beautiful time for us to allow those emotions to process through. I know for me, one of my favorite practices is just to, if I can cry it out and allow that to come through, and then to sit down and just start asking myself, what is this about? What am I feeling? And grab my journal or grab these days, I've been leaning into my good friend ChatGPT and my voice recorder and just speaking in, here's what's coming up for me. Here's, people ask all the time, like people love journal prompts, right? I'm somebody that loves journal prompts. It's why I always give journal prompts in like our lunar journals, our monthly journals. If you have not downloaded July's journal, this is the shout out and the plug to download the lunar journal that has some really, really good journal prompts in there. But that's one of the things I ask for now when I'm, processing something of my own, is I'm getting everything out into, my voice recorder. I'm saying everything. And then I'm asking, what are some questions for me to explore? Give me some journal prompts for me to explore around what I'm feeling right now, to really get to the heart of what this is for myself, to get right behind the thing, because we all know there's more to it, right? The other thing that I would say for you, which is really beautiful about this time, is to maybe relook at your boundaries. Relook at your boundaries. What boundaries have you set? Do we need to adjust them? Do we need to enforce them? Sometimes that happens, right? Where we put a boundary up and then we don't enforce it. So that's something to also look at. Looking at how your environment is nurturing you, right? How you're taking care of your environment, how you are regulating your nervous system, how you're taking care of your inner child, things like that. These are all really beautiful things to consider during this time on your healing journey. I also would say anything from the past, and especially things that are related or associated with women. So whether that's a mother, a daughter, an aunt, a cousin, a friend, a female relationship that you might have, or a feminine energy that maybe needs to be resolved, that is wounded, and maybe that's within your own self or in a relationship. From the business standpoint, from the entrepreneurial standpoint, this is where we can look at really deepening our relationships with our clients and our customers, sharing more vulnerably, connecting on an emotional level, creating experiences and opportunities in sacred containers for that can support our communities, right? Infusing more of, the heart. One of the things I think I thought as an entrepreneur was, I didn't want to automate things because automated felt disconnected from me, but actually automating actually helps me be more connected, which is interesting, right? You wouldn't think that, but it absolutely is. This is also a time for you to look at your own natural rhythm. This is one of the things that we do in my inner authority call, is we look at your natural rhythm. Is this the time for you to take a break? Or is this the time when you are in your most potent energy, right? We look at what that is for you, and looking at your why, always looking at your mission, your core mission, and the emotional energy behind your business. I recommended this in that last forecast that we did, to sit with your business, especially during this Neptune retrograde. And now here with this sun in Cancer and Mercury about to go retrograde in Cancer, sit with your business, my friend, and ask it some questions. Ask it for some rituals that it wants to do, some ways in which it wants to tweak some things that maybe it's desiring to do. All right, let's get back into this, and we're going to talk some more aspects about our sun. So sun moves into Cancer, and on that same day, we get this sextile over here to Uranus. Now, this will be here till the 28th of July. Whenever we're talking about Uranus, there is always those unexpected encounters, this new things. It's very stimulating and exciting. It brings the unexpected to the forefront forefront. There's inventiveness, curiosity that tends to be here. It's really hard, though, I will say this, to stick to a routine. Uranus does not like to stick to a routine. It wants its freedom to explore, to do new things, to uncover, discover. And so it's going to do things out of the ordinary. And so we might see some of that come in, but it might even also give us an opportunity of seeing how we can do something differently. So if you are stuck in trying to figure something out, this is also a really great transit for that, where you can look at like, how could I do this differently, right? Now, the next two are the trine that we're going to have over here on the 18th to both Saturn and Neptune. Remember, those guys are hanging out together here, both now retrograde in Pisces. And so they are making a trine over to the sun. And so with Neptune, we are bringing that spiritual, creative, kind of heightened sensitivity, intuition, creativity, all of that coming through with that connection to the sun. And when we look at the connection with Saturn, it is bringing more of the responsibility, the patience, the persistence, the determination. And so we're going to see this energy right here at the very beginning of Cancer season of just allowing things to really unfold for us. And I want you to think about this from the full moon we just had in Sagittarius, with that really stepping into our role and our identity, even as a teacher, as a guide, as a mentor, as somebody who is teaching and leading, right? That leader energy. And also how we are doing that in a very grounded, practical way with Saturn, and being connected to that feminine energy, right? That spiritual connection, that intuitive identity that we have, the ability that we have to connect to something beyond ourselves. So this is really, really like really beautiful culmination of all of these energies that I'm in love with right now. I'm loving the season. Not that I don't normally love Cancer season, because I do, but even more so with this one. Now, I do want to bring in here the very edge of the week here on Saturday, on the 19th, we are going to see this opposition here with the sun. Now, this one can be a little bit more challenging, but also can be very beneficial for us. So the sun in opposition to Pluto. Whenever we're talking about an opposition, these guys are not in agreement. So they both believe in something, to achieve something. They both have the same goal, so to speak, but how they approach it or how they go about it is different. And so they're kind of battling their ideas on how this should be done, right? So there is a potential here for a bit of some self-destructive behavior, addictions, stubbornness, manipulation, some of that like going, the what is it called? Like the belly, right? The spying, the like secretness, right, can come out. That's Pluto energy. And so there could be some things that maybe start to put us in a bit of a crisis because of our self-esteem, of our identity, of our relationships, or even events that can be very self-destructive. Also challenges in relationships where you might find yourself involved in situations of manipulation or jealousy, or somebody wanting to dominate you, right? Dominate you in some way, shape, or form. And this doesn't have to be on the physical level, my friend. This can be on the energetic level. This can be in the mental level, right? There are ways in which this can happen. Incidents, accidents, that's also something that can happen. More violence can happen here, destruction can happen here. And so I'm bringing this up because this isn't all love and light and beautiful unicorns and peace everywhere. That is not reality, right? As much as I would love for that to be reality, that is not always the case, right? There are challenges, there are things that come up. And so I want you to notice that there is this potential here, not to scare you, not to create fear, but to allow you to notice how this might be working for you, how you might be reacting, because that tends to happen, right? We react to things instead of responding things. We want to be mindful of, are we right? As I mentioned, especially with that Cancer energy of wanting to, having all that emotional energy and it just wanting to come out. That's where I'm going to caution you to make sure that you are doing your own work, that you are doing the somatic breath work or doing something to release the energy out of you so that it isn't bottling up, right? My love used to say that you're a Coke bottle and I just would explode because I didn't learn, right? I didn't learn how to manage my own emotions, right? It wasn't until I really started diving into things that I really got a hold of it and started to understand more of, how to regulate my nervous system and how to notice when things are triggering me and still be able to stay grounded and present when things do arrive. So just notice, I want you to just be mindful of this. This is also an opportunity. So I want you to think of this from the flip side. It's also an opportunity for you to notice what is coming up for you and what is maybe on the underbelly, what is your natural habits or addictions that you are leading towards, or you are reverting maybe even back to, and notice why am I all of a sudden wanting to do this thing? Like, why am I, what is being unfulfilled in me that doing this thing is feeling, right? All right, let's move on to Mercury because, as I mentioned, Mercury does go retrograde this week. Right here on the 18th, Mercury moves into its retrograde position, meaning that from the appearance on where we are here on Earth, it appears that Mercury is moving backwards. In fact, my friend, Mercury is not moving backwards. It is not in any way, shape, or form moving backwards. It is simply appearing in our sky to be moving backwards. And it is here in Cancer. So let's talk about this because we've been in this Cancer energy for quite a while, right? Where things are more on an instinctive level, right? We're more interested in what is universal. We're interested more on how this affects people as a whole, right? It's more empathetic. And when it moves retrograde, this goes more internal. Anytime we talk about a retrograde, it's more of an internal time, right? It's a time for us to reflect, to rethink, to redo, to rediscover, right? And so with this emotional aspect here, because we're talking about Cancer, there's mental clarity with emotional sensitivity. So emotional sensitivity and mental clarity. This is where we are able to rewire, reprogram that inner dialogue, maybe that we're having, recalibrate our inner truths, review maybe even our feminine energy or even feminine lineage and the wounds that might be connected to that feminine line, so the ancestral line, especially as it relates to how we speak, how we mother, whether that is mothering ourselves, mothering others, and even communication and how we're expressing or sharing information. Those are all things that I would invite you to explore during this particular Mercury retrograde. Any of those female woundings is such a beautiful time. If you're somebody that tends to lean more towards the masculine energy, great time to look at what is it about the feminine energy, or if you're somebody that leans more in the feminine energy, how can you balance it with the masculine energy, right? Because we all have both. And sometimes because of our trauma, because of our wounding, we tend to lead with one or the other. We tend to lead either more feminine or more masculine. And I would say the goal, maybe if you want to say it, is to be able to use both, to know when to lead with the masculine, when to lead with the feminine, when to pull back, and like how much, right? How much of my masculine energy do I put forward, or how much do my feminine energy, and like having that dance and being able to play with both, right? And so this is an opportunity for you to explore that. All right, our last thing in this week and for this video is our Saturn. So let me show you here because Saturn is going to be retrograde beginning on the 13th. So we can go back here to the 13th, which is at the very, very edge of the week. We saw Neptune go retrograde, and then we see Saturn go retrograde. All right, so Saturn has been in Pisces for just a bit now, right? It moved in March to Pisces, and generally we see Saturn in a zodiac sign for about 2 years. Maybe 2.5, depending on its retrograde. So it's been here for a while, and it is bringing more of the spiritual energy into the foundations, right? Saturn rules over our corporations, our big businesses, right? Our government. And so we've been seeing this infiltration with more of these holistic ideas, right? More of these alternative medicines coming through. And so we've seen that start to come through. Now, with it going retrograde, this is an opportunity for us to look at our own spiritual beliefs in the physical plane, in the reality. So where Neptune, we're talking about, our beliefs and our practices and our rituals and what are the truths that we've accepted, and do we still resonate with those truths, or is there something that needs to be shifted? With Saturn, it's where is my practice? Like, what is my practice? Am I disciplined, right? Am I doing my practices just to do my practices, or am I doing them because I am committed to this version of me that I am becoming, or committed to the devotion to something greater than me? This is also the opportunity to take about accountability for our emotional patterns, for our emotional reactions, the way in which we are showing up with others. My friend, nobody, let me stop sharing my screen here. Nobody can take away your power. Nobody can take away your power. You may allow people to take your power. You may lose your power to other people because you decided to give it up, right? Anytime you go ballistic on somebody, you've lost your power, my friend. You've given up your power, or you're so worried about somebody else and what somebody else might do or not do for that matter. You've then already lost your power. You've given it away to somebody else. And so this is your opportunity to take responsibility for your own actions, for what you are doing. My friend, you are 100% responsible for this life, for this reality. This is in your hands. Yes, we have connection to source, to God, to creation, to work with us, but this is in your hands. You get to make the decision, my friend. So take accountability for what you do. Boundaries. Are your boundaries coming from love and compassion, or are they coming from trauma and wounding? Did you set a boundary because you needed to, because you were so hurt, or you were so angry or frustrated, and that boundary is keeping you from what you truly desire? Or is it blocking you in some way? Or does it need to be adjusted? I'm not saying that you need to get rid of your boundaries. What I'm saying is evaluate them. Is the things that you're doing, do they need to be evaluated? Do those boundaries need to be evaluated? Saturn is so good at showing us our limitations, to showing us our boundaries. And is it time for us to re-look at those, to be able to push past or beyond them? Or, are we holding them there to keep us protected and safe? That is not in a way that's going to serve us in the future. Maybe we're doing it because right now I need it, right? Right. I need to stay right here. I need to stay focused. I can't deal with that other stuff right now. That's absolutely okay, my friend. Notice that that's what it is. You're here. This is this for now, but there may be a time where that needs to be reevaluated. or maybe now is the time where it does need to be reevaluated. Um, the other viewpoint here is we can look at this from the business standpoint or the entrepreneurial space. This is where we look and we audit our business systems, right? The foundations. Is there some restructuring that needs to happen? Saturn is all about, the foundations of our business. So looking at those, auditing our business systems, our automations, what is the foundational teaching or piece, right? Does that need to be looked at? Is that being expressed in its best way? Um, are we establishing clear, compassionate policies with our team? If you have a team, are you creating that? Is it clear? Where you can also look at this from the client perspective. If you're somebody that works with a client, are the expectations out there? Are they very clear? Right? We can't get frustrated with a client or a customer if they call us or text us at 10 p.m. and expect a response if we've never asked them, or we've never, sorry, let me say that differently. If we've never told them that we don't respond to text messages after 5 o'clock, whatever that cutoff is for you, or we, right, we don't get frustrated if somebody wants to meet on our day off because we've set that expectation, right? So it's things for us to look at. Have we set those clear expectations of when we expect things to be done and when we expect things not to be done? The other thing would be to look at long-term vision or long-term planning. This is where we're looking at the 5 and 10 year mark. This is a great time for us to look at that. I love to do it during Sagittarius season every single year as we lead into Capricorn season, which Saturn rules over Capricorn. It's my favorite time of the year, which is right in that mid-December through mid-January, where I start to look at my vision for the year. But this point right here with Sagittarius, this is a good time to look at the even bigger picture. 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. What does that look like? Where are you headed? So that when we get, like, does that need to be reviewed? If you did this last year, have things changed? Because I can tell you right now, my friend, as I think about my 3 year plan from 3 years ago, well, I think it's like 2.5 years right now, there's some definite changes that I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that's not happening. And then there are some things that are there like, yes, I am just about on target for that. So again, good time to look at that. All right, my friend, this has been your Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of July 14th through the 20th. We've got some really great energy coming up this week. Next week, we'll talk all about that new moon in Cancer. So stay tuned for that. Until next time, my friend, be sure to check out the resources down below. We've got that July lunar journal. Definitely recommend checking that out and going through those journal prompts, especially under that full moon and upcoming new moon. Plus, there's more information in there about the retrogrades and some more journal prompts for you to explore. We've also got our inner authority call with me that I would love to hop on a call with you and explore, what is leading, who is the authority right now inside, like who is running the show? Is this a story? Is there a belief? What is it connected to? Or maybe there's something in your outer world that you can't quite figure out, and we need to look at the inner world, and you just need a guide to kind of help point that out for you. We will also look at your current rhythm to figure out, what is your rhythm right now? Are you meant to pull things back, or is this full speed ahead? What season are you in? We'll also look at and get insights from the Akashic records to see if there's anything connected to maybe a past life. We can also explore your business entity, maybe the energy of your business, and you're like, I can't quite figure out, I need some help meeting my business. I would love to help you connect with that energy as well. You can find the links to all of that down below in our description and show notes. All right, my friend, this wraps up this week's video. Until next time, remember to keep shining your unique light.